Well, hello everybody. Sorry for the delay. A little bit of issues with devices today. We're going to have a great session here tonight, Sunday night. As promised, I'm going to go through the presentation to Governor General that was tagged with several MPs right here in Canada, First Nations MPs, one from Nunavut and absolutely one from British Columbia. We're going to see how that goes with them when they're tagged absolutely in an email with five world powers. Now, I wasn't able to give you all that. I couldn't do it. I couldn't give that out publicly. I'm not going to lose those contacts, never in a million years. I worked hard for that. Should I put that out publicly? It won't be long before those are changed. They're already talking about new internet cyber security protocols by the five, which goes against what narratives a lot of you are sharing with me and what is NWO. They've already lost, everybody. They've already lost. I can guarantee you this. Even narratives from the news source, Owanon, from Donald Trump. Hate to be the bearer of bad news, but the Trump administration, former, is not with Donald Trump. They had left that out, walked away in November, really, honestly, to be truthful. And after his election loss, they didn't follow him down the dark road of anti-constitutionalism in America. Now we have several issues. We got media personalities from Canada getting in with New York Times, getting in with The Post, all of it in the United States of America, even with CNN. Really tough stuff to swallow, everybody. But we're going to go through my presentation page by page. For those that have a hard time visually seeing it, I was limited to 15 pages. It pained me. I even had to cut the signatures of the 1,700. Had to cut it out, the last 700. It's just, I don't make the rules of the systems they have in place. They don't want to be boggled down with too much. And you have bouts of what you send them. It has to be key interesting facts. And before we go into Q&A, everybody, and I want you all to stay through this because I got my secondary device where I'm going to go through each page, blowing up. I got my reading glasses here, my Bubbles glasses to get through this for you all. The pages that you couldn't read by King George VI, ending the British monarchy. And I want everybody to understand this. There used to be Prussia, Germany, colonial power. Germany was also an empire, just like Britain, just like France, just like Spain, just like Portugal, just like Denmark, and as well Japan. 7 colonials, highest of the highest powers of the former League of Nations. Age of Empires coming to an end. And I'm going to go through with all of you what transpired in colonies from a time period after League of Nations to right now, which Canada is one of them. Where did these massive atrocities from nations of Africa, we're seeing the vulgarity, the human rights abuses in Haiti, we see it in the Middle East, and absolutely the same colonial powers all perpetuated from not only World War I, but World War II as well. Why did these independent nations all of a sudden participate, including Canada, including New Zealand, including Australia? It's not out yet, everybody, but it's coming. Why is it African nations, New Zealand, Australia, and Canada, all participate in the sickest, pervertedest perversions of humanity ever witnessed in modern time? Why do they all do it? Well, that's very simple. Why did Germany do it? Because of colonialism, everybody. These barbaric atrocities orchestrated by church groups, big organized religion in bed with divine rights of monarchs. That is the world before the UN, before the Allies. That's the world that was perpetuated in absolute sickest of sick human rights abuses. World War II is no laughing matter. Neither was World War II. barely won. And people to this day still criticize USSR and absolutely the United States of America as somehow it's their fault for not getting into the war in a timely fashion. Today's the day where I show each and every Canadian and anyone in the world who wants to know it an absolute truth of exactly what transpired between the United States and the former USSR, which is still the Federation of Russia. It remains constitutionally bound to Vladimir Putin. He can't refuse it unless he wants to remove that from his constitution. As of January of this year, he did not remove it from his constitution. Vladimir Putin remains steadfast in his commitment to the world as an ally, regardless of what's happened in his own nation, as well as former territories of the fall of the Soviet Union. No matter what the Allies have done to him in the Big Five, regardless, he goes forward. He maintains his obligations to absolutely every ally in this world, as well as all former colonial states. Putin remains steadfast. So everybody, we're going to go through it bit by bit, but before I get into that, I want you all to know something very huge. I couldn't add this into my narrative, but the reality of this post, this live we're doing before we get into Q&A, and it's simply this. Germany, the Empire of Germany that ended in World War I because they lost World War I, was an empire colonial nation. Hitler took Chancellor of Germany. He was appointed by the then President of Germany, transitioning from World War II. They gave the power of the crown to none other than Hitler. This is exactly the same power absolutely given to none other than Canada's politicians. And that is who? That is absolutely Justin Trudeau, Aaron O'Toole, and Jagmeet Singh, who absolutely have all the same powers that Hitler has. Crown, colonial power. Historians argue back and forth about whether Hitler was an extreme psychotic socialist because of the socialist left policies, or was he a radical, crazy right nutcase from extreme religious views, conservative? The answer is he was neither, everybody. He was absolutely the colonial power of absolutely none other than the same power that Canada's taken from their monarchy system. Hitler was neither left or right. He was a pure 100% autocrat who stole the crown power from the Emperor of Germany, the former German Russia Empire, colonial empire. Hitler was granted that by the president of the time in 1933, and Hitler learned very quickly, as I have learned, how to take the crown power and utilize it in any way you want to. Now, there's Hitler's way of pure autocracy, disbanding all forms of democracy entirely, which I could do right here in Canada, exactly as Hitler did with Nazi Germany. But unfortunately, everybody, Justin Trudeau, Aaron O'Toole, and Jagmeet Singh are already perpetuating that right here in Canada. They've already poisoned, through taxpayer funding, they've already poisoned our very own P5 allies. They've poisoned a large amount of them. There's been a lot of constitutional migration from Canada to the five powers, destabilizing the world, making the world a worse place, enshrining the NWO. It's led by none other than Canada. That's a fact. That's a fact. I'm going to do the same thing Hitler did to take over Germany and take over the whole entire parliamentary system, absolutely all the regions. However, unlike Hitler, I'm giving absolutely all of that power to each and every one of you. That's what I'm going to do. That's my promise to Canadians and First Nations. There will never be another atrocity in the country of Canada if you elect CCP in a minority government. I don't ask for a majority. I will absolutely fire Governor General, all 13 lieutenant governors, as did the same thing that Hitler did in Germany. However, I will immediately have the new implemented ones hold back all governing parties elected, whether they're in minority or not, and their oppositions. They will be restricted from enabling any acts or doing anything in any legislature or parliament in all provinces, absolutely the territories, and absolutely the federal parliament itself. They will be handicapped. Each and every MP and MLA across all the regions of Canada and all the federal EDAs of Canada will be sent back with the greatest legal minds in the entire world from every major nation, most from the United States of America, a lot from UK, some from the Soviet Union, one from China, absolutely 2 from France, and then a pile of UN states, a pile of them, many of which went through colonialism, got independent. There's lots of those coming forward at a cost of $140 million to the taxpayers of Canada, and absolutely the politicians you've elected in our party and all parties. They will not be paid until they go back to their CAs and their EDAs, federally, provincially, territorial, and absolutely administer it, or they won't be paid. That's a fact. And you, the people, every day, just like COVID-19, you will get government updates from myself across all the new lieutenant governors, governor general, and absolutely all the politicians who participate. Now, those that don't, we will provide that media and say they are refusing to give you, the people, the power of constitutionalism to right this country with the education from the greatest minds in the world today. Absolutely all of them, in every minority language. I won't be taking any power, autocratic power. I will use that autocratic power to cripple the autocratic system, taking the crown to absolutely destroy the crown for each and every one of you. It's never been done in the history of the world. It's why the Allies have remained vigilant as the P5 to constantly have to get involved in these countries. We are going to show the P5 a legendary, first of its kind, absolute honoring of what all the Allies sacrificed in World War II. And we're going to give back to the P5 for the once in 70 years. We're going to give back to the Allies of World War II, the tremendous leaders of those 5 countries, and give a narrative to all the people of Canada, a beacon of hope to all the countries in the world that want the true sovereignty promised by the Allies, which now I'm going to go through on this device, each and every page blown up for you. I'm going to read off the documents a lot of you struggled with. It's for all of you. That's what we're going to do. And remember that date, 1933, it was absolutely Hitler took the crown power in Germany. It was given to him absolutely as chancellor, just as I promised to. He used it for himself and his agenda, a party agenda. Not left, not right, a combination of both, and a puritocracy over the people. I am flipping that pyramid upside down. In the same manner as Hitler, I'm going to give all of you, the people, the power, absolute. You will get presentations in every region, community, town hall, reserve, doesn't matter, in every language by the best of the best in the world until you all iron that out. And then the lieutenant governors and governor general will ratify provincial territorial constitutions as well as the federal dismemberment redesign by you, the people. This is my promise. This is what I will do. I will destroy colonialism absolutely and forever in Canada for all the peoples of Canada, all of you. And we will settle Canada once and for all. That's my mission. That's the CCP, Canadian Constitutionalist Party. Now we're going to get into some factual documentation that absolutely Facebook is never going to shut down. I can't change writers paid by major media outlets in the United States of America or Canada. no matter how much Trudeau and a pile of other colonial special interests, NWO, against United States of America, against the President Joe Biden, currently treasonous presentation by New York Times and absolutely CNN. New York Times for sure. That's an absolute, complete 100% lie. Now, first thing we're going to go back through that didn't come through really great for anybody is going back in time, okay? And now on the email it's not in. I had to really juggle this. But we're going to read a date to you. The 26th of July, 1941. This is the crown seal. I know it's hard to see him. Okay, you see the crown seal of King George VI? That is his stamp. The wax stamp. That's his. No other monarch from the British Empire. Okay? In his words, my dear Prime Minister, this is to absolutely Sir Winston Churchill. Thank you very much for your letter of today telling me of your invitation from President Roosevelt to meet somewhere off the coast of Newfoundland on August 8th, 1941. 9th and also the 10th. I am very glad that you are at last to have the opportunity of making his acquaintance, and as I told you before, I am sure that there is much to be gained by meeting between you. And understand, 1941, Britain is ready to fall. They've been pounded by Germany, bombed. France is gone. Most of Europe is under siege and lost to Germany. They're advancing. They've destroyed the absolute Europeans. Destroyed them. Germany's on top. Britain's about ready to fall. I readily assent to your proposal. I readily ascend your proposals. His proposals are absolutely adopting the UN and ending the British Empire entirely throughout the world, all colonialism. That's the proposal. That's the UN. You can read the Charter of 1945. This is King George giving his stamp to Sir Winston Churchill, his letter in 1941 in a secret meeting with Teddy Roosevelt, President of the United States, who has an outline called the UN. This is the Charter, the Atlantic Charter, done in Newfoundland, who broke away from Canada and is its own separate entity at that time. That's why they're meeting there in Newfoundland. Its own currency, its own system of governance, not in Canada. For I feel the circumstances are very different from now than what they were when you first mentioned the idea to me at the end of February. Yeah, before Germany had bombed the living hell out of London and absolutely destroying everything British, meaning they were about to fall. Limited resources, barely holding on. They've lost their empire. Africa under siege, Britain losing everything in Africa to Germany. At first, I do not think one would likely to find a better moment for you to be out of the country, though I confess I shall breathe a sigh of relief. You are really home again, is rightly to say. A flying boat would bring you back in a few hours from Newfoundland should any emergency arise. So they got a flying boat there just in case something happens with the United. They're scared, right? They're turning over the empire. They're ending the empire, and they're ready to bail Sir Winston Churchill out on a moment's notice should something arise with the United States. I approve, and remember everybody, it wasn't done in some neutral territory like Canada. Teddy Roosevelt and the Americans, America first. The idea that they will never join the League of Nations. League of Nations is now toast. And USA is saying, now are you ready to abandon colonialism? Are you ready? And they are. And this is the stamp, which we'll get into the next page here. I got to jump around because mine's aren't in order. I am interested to know the accomplishment that will be here at the beginning of the next week. His visit will be most opportune. I think that I shall remain south until your return. I can just as well go to the Balmoral during, I think that's what it says, during the last half of August. I have made provisions planned to go to Fiji from about August 6th to the 8th, but I can talk to you about this on Tuesday. Believe me, yours sincerely, George the Sixth. Which, do you see the RI? I'll try to angle it. That's George the Sixth. This is the end of British Empire. There's the stamp again at the bottom, signing off. You can kind of see it. I know it sucks, but best I could do, I'm only allowed 15 pages. Now, that's to Sir Winston Churchill. Now we're going to go into the letter to absolutely President Teddy Roosevelt. Now this is 5 days before Buckingham Palace. There's the stamp. That's the stamp. There's the letter. And you can see Teddy Roosevelt mentioned, signed again at the bottom by George the Sixth and to Teddy Roosevelt. August 3rd, 1941, from Buckingham Palace. My dear President Roosevelt, this is just a line to bring you my best wishes and to say how glad that I have an opportunity at least of getting to know my Prime Minister. I am sure you'll agree that he is a very remarkable man, and have no doubt that your meeting will prove great benefit to our two countries in the pursuit of our common goal. Believe me, yours very sincerely, George the Sixth, the President of the United States of America, Teddy Roosevelt. Okay? Real. The Atlantic Treaty, which we're going to get into. I know you guys couldn't read that. I have to go, and I don't think any of this is in order either, so that's going to suck. But I'm going to read it to you. Okay, let's see if I can find the start of it. For the delivery to Res Redia at 900 Eastern on Thursday, August 14th. Kuwait's. Okay, let's do this. Okay, so you ready? The President of the United States and the Prime Minister, Mr. Churchill, representing His Majesty's government in the United Kingdom, have met at sea. They have been accompanied by affiliate officials of their two governments, including high-ranking officers of their military, naval, and air services. The whole problem of the supply of munitions of the war, as provided by the Lease Land Act for the Armed Forces of the United States and for the countries actively engaged in resisting aggression, has been further examined. Lord Heavenbrook, the Minister of Supply of the British government, has joined in these conferences. He's going to proceed to Washington to discuss further details with appropriate officials of the United States government. These conferences will now also cover the supply problem of the Soviet Union. Three powers have come together: Soviet, USA, and Britain. And again, this is the date in August. Begin part 2. I don't know why they hand wrote those things, and I guess it's the time of the... begin part 2. The President and the Prime Minister have had several conferences. They considered the dangers to world civilization arising from the politics of military domination by conquest, upon which Hitlerite government of Germany and other governments associated therein have embarked, which is the colonial Axis powers. repeatedly taking their safety is the face of these dangers. They have agreed the following joint declaration, and they put an exclamation handwritten joint declaration X. The President of the United States of America and the Prime Minister, Mr. Churchill, representing His Majesty's Government of the United Kingdom, being met together, deem it right to make known certain common principles in the national policies of their respective countries on which they have their hopes for a better future for the world. The world. Not Axis, not ally, for the world. Because USA and Russia are not bailing out Britain or France until they know, just like the rest of the colonials, the empire, the colonialism is over. USA and Russia were not colonials. They didn't enter the World War II until they knew for certain this could be achieved. I gotta find the rest now. It's out of order. There's 5. Let's see if we can find the other. I gotta get page 3 and 4 here somewhere. Part 2. Okay, page 3. I guess what had happened to everybody is whoever typed up the draft technology in their day, they didn't put the page 1 and 2, so they had to handwrite that in. Now, first, their countries seek no aggrandizement, territorial or other. Meaning, that's the end of the British Empire. Right there. First sentence. No aggrandizement of their territory. Meaning, Canada's gone. India's gone. The rest of it for Britain is gone. Your island country